All right, let's talk about a battle. Not one with armies or weapons, but one that every single one of us fights, probably every single day. It's that inner war we wage against procrastination, against self-doubt, against that little voice that tells us to just start tomorrow. Today, we're diving into the brilliant playbook for winning that fight, Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art.
So let's just jump right in with this quote. I mean, does this hit home for anyone else? You've got that big project, that amazing idea, that goal you really care about, and yet you find a million tiny, perfectly reasonable things to do instead. Well, according to Pressfield, that's not just you being lazy. That procrastination is actually the calling card of something much bigger.
And that something has a name: resistance. Pressfield gives this force a name because he wants us to see it for what it is. It's not some personal flaw or weakness. No, it's a universal, impersonal enemy that stands between you and your best work. So what is it, exactly? Well, think of resistance like a law of nature, kind of like gravity. It's this invisible, internal force that just pushes back. Its only goal, its entire reason for being, is to stop you from changing, from growing, from creating something new. It wants to keep everything exactly as it is. Thank you very much. Now, here's the tricky part. Resistance isn't some bad guy you can see coming. It's the enemy within. It's that little voice inside your own head, the one that knows all your deepest fears and insecurities. And it is a master of disguise, always whispering the perfect excuse, the most convincing reason to just not do the work. And trust me, it shows up everywhere. This isn't just about writing the next great novel. Resistance pops up anytime we try to do something hard for a long-term reward. Launching that business? Oh yeah. Starting that new diet? You bet. Trying to kick a bad habit or even just do the right thing when it's tough? That's resistance territory.
Okay, so we've identified the enemy, but to beat it, we need to understand its tactics. How does this thing actually sabotage us, day in and day out? Let's break down its playbook.
So here's the rap sheet. It's invisible, but you can feel it, right? It's that pushback. It's internal, so there's nobody else to blame. It will tell you any lie to get its way. You can't argue with it. It's not personal, but the most important thing is that last one. It's fueled by our fear. Resistance has no power on its own. We're the ones who give it juice every time we get scared.
And this is its absolute favorite trick. It's so subtle. We almost never say, I'm a failure, I'm giving up forever. No. Resistance is way smarter than that. It just whispers, you're totally going to do it. Just start tomorrow. And that one little rationalization, that's the sound of resistance winning another day.
And just in case you think this is only a problem for us mortals, think again. This quote is from the legendary screenwriter Robert McKee. It's such a great reminder that even the masters, the people at the absolute top of their game, face this exact same battle every single day. Okay, but here's where the whole thing flips on its head. This is the big reveal. What if this enemy, this negative, awful force, was actually a secret guide? What if resistance wasn't a stop sign, but a signpost? I want you to really think about this for a second. Is there something you're so scared to start that you feel completely paralyzed? That knot in your stomach, that feeling of dread? What if that's not a warning to stay away? What if it's actually a good thing? Because that's exactly what Pressfield says. That fear is an indicator. It's a signal. The fear that resistance kicks up is actually pointing you, like a giant flashing arrow, directly at the thing you are supposed to be doing. So here's the golden rule. The more resistance you feel, the more important the work is to your soul. It's like a compass. You feel zero resistance to scrolling through your phone, right? But the moment you think about writing chapter 1 of that book, bam, a tidal wave of resistance hits you. Why? Because that book matters. Your resistance is telling you where the treasure is buried. So, if resistance is the enemy that also happens to be our compass, how do we actually fight it? How do we follow that compass and win the war? The answer is simple to say, but hard to do. We have to turn pro. Now, turning pro doesn't mean you have to quit your job or suddenly start making money from your art. Not at all. It's a mindset. It's an internal shift. It's the decision to treat your passion, your calling, with the respect and seriousness of a job. It's the ultimate weapon against resistance. And this table just lays it all out. The amateur waits to be inspired. They're a weekend warrior. The professional shows up every day, period. The amateur makes excuses. The professional has a no-excuse policy. But look at that line about identity. This one is so important. The amateur is crushed by their art, but the pro knows the work isn't them.
And here's the most empowering part. You don't need a diploma or a permission slip to turn pro. It's a decision. It's an act of will. It's something you decide for yourself, right here, right now. You just make up your mind to take yourself and your work seriously.
So, what does that look like in the real world? What are the actual habits and attitudes that a pro lives by every day to keep resistance at bay? This is basically the pro's code of honor. Number 1 is the bedrock. Show up. Every day, no matter what. But look at those last 3. A pro doesn't wait for the fear to go away. They act with the fear. They learn to take a punch, whether it's a bad review or a failed launch. And they don't let success go to their head or failure go to their heart. This idea is just so powerful. Resistance loves it when we tie our self-worth to our creative work. Why? Because then the fear of failure becomes absolutely terrifying. The pro learns to create a little space. They can pour their heart into the work, but they know that a rejection of the work is not a rejection of them. Think about it. Resistance wants us to live and die by what other people think. It wants us to constantly refresh the page, looking for likes, for praise, for external validation. But the professional, they take that power back. The validation comes from showing up. The win is doing the work itself, regardless of the outcome. And in the end, Pressfield frames this entire battle as something bigger than just our own success. He says that when we give in to resistance, we're not just cheating ourselves, we're cheating the world. We are holding back a gift that only we can give. So I'll leave you with that. That thing you're procrastinating on, that project that fills you with fear, that's not a warning sign. It's your compass. It's pointing you toward your gift. So the only real question is, are you ready to turn pro and finally share it with the rest of us?